This week, we've been seeing a lot of things progress on the interprovincial trade front, from committee meetings in Quebec City to cooperation agreements between Alberta and Ontario. Plus, we're looking at what's behind a group photo at Trade Minister Chrystia Freeland's summer barbecue. Look at all the faces there, and I know just the face to bring in to ask about all of this and more. For this week in politics, we brought in CTV News' Rachel Aiello. Rachel, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, summer is usually a really quiet time for politics, but Prime Minister Mark Carney is giving Cabinet a lot of homework, including being told to present a savings plan. How is this going to play out? What's the time frame and what's the amount they have to cut by?
Yeah, that's right, Anne-Marie. So although Carney is taking what we're told is a staycation in the National Capital Region this week, the work is continuing. So letters have gone out to all members of his cabinet, letting them know that by the end of the summer, they need to find what they're calling long-term operational savings. So what we're looking at is 7.5% for 2026-27, going all the way up to 15% in cuts, essentially, by 2028-29. Now, this is because the Prime Minister has made some massive spending commitments, defense, wanting to build major national projects. So these are measures the government is taking to try to find those savings. But, you know, they're going to call it savings, Anne-Marie. We can call it what it is. It's going to be cuts. So right now, the public service is quite concerned that it's going to result in massive job losses, reductions to programs and federal services. So it'll be interesting to watch once we get that budget in the fall, where this savings is supposed to come to fruition, what exactly the Prime Minister's decided to prioritize.
You know, we were just chatting with Laurie Turnbull about this agreement signed between Premier Ford and Premier Smith. There's also a committee on internal trade happening in Quebec City. What's on the agenda there and who's going?
Yeah, so this is a meeting of all of the ministers across the provinces and territories, as well as Federal Minister Chrystia Freeland, who are responsible for the internal trade file. So we're expecting this to be kind of a pickup on where they last left on conversations about reducing further interprovincial trade barriers. Obviously, as we've seen over the last few months, provinces and territories are making their own kind of side deals because there are nuances across the country, and it's more than just what the federal government could do. So we're expecting to come out of this meeting today in Quebec City with some more news on what other exemptions that various provinces and territories have under the federal Canadian Trade Agreement, and to try to lift those exemptions, make it easier for workers to move across provinces, for goods to be bought direct to consumer from place to place.
So that's in Quebec City. Let's head over to Alberta. The Conservatives really focused on getting Pierre Paul, their leader, back in the House of Commons when that by-election happens in August on the 18th. What else are their plans for over the summer?
Yeah, so I'm getting the sense, Anne-Marie, that it is all hands on deck for that by-election. It is likely going to be something where we see a number of staff head down to help Poilievre campaign. Now, it is one of the safest ridings in the country, so it's not looking like it should be a nail-biter for Poilievre, but clearly this is a priority for the party to get him a seat, get him back into the House of Commons, because what we've seen over the last few months without him in the seat, without him in the House, he's kind of been sidelined. He hasn't been in those conversations. He hasn't been able to challenge Mark Carney in the way I think that he would like to. So interesting to see where they go in terms of the strategy, the messaging. Obviously, he was making a big splash at the Stampede earlier this week.
Yeah, he managed to get all the horse riding references into one clip, so good for him and his speechwriters. Listen, let's talk about the NDP. What are they doing this summer? I mean, they've lost their leader. They've tried to regroup. They've got an interim leader. They've lost their standing in the House. What is the top of the agenda for them?
Yeah, it's a long, hot summer of soul searching, I'd say, for the NDP. So as of now, officials within the party at the top level are meeting. They were meeting, I was told, this weekend to try to iron out what the rules are going to be for the leadership race that will replace Jagmeet Singh. Obviously, Don Davies is acting in the interim role for now, but it really feels like there's a lot of push and pull and conversation happening within the NDP to try to figure out the timeline, the parameters, the rules for this leadership race. And there's a lot of opinions in terms of where the party should go from here, whether it's trying to get back to their worker roots, whether they should go in a more progressive direction. So all of those tensions are kind of playing out, I'm told, behind the scenes as they try to plot this way forward to find Jagmeet Singh's replacement.
Okay, Rachel, just before we let you go, speaking of behind the scenes, this photo, I have so many questions. Trade Minister Chrystia Freeland hosted a barbecue at her Toronto home on the weekend. Look at all the people in this photo. It may surprise people to see all of these figures together. If you look on the right, you've got former Prime Minister John Chrétien, Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow, Chrystia Freeland's there, Doug Ford is there, Dominic LeBlanc is there. what was this?
Yeah. So I was looking into this and was thinking about it, and I realized this happened on the 4th of July. So my read on this, Anne-Marie, is that these are the high-profile faces that in any other political context likely would have come to Ottawa and gone to the U.S. ambassador's big 4th of July bash at the embassy. So it looks like Freeland gave them an off-ramp, an offshoot, another option so they could say, you know, I'm sending my regards, but I'm not making it to that barbecue because I've got plans with Minister Freeland. So that was my read on this, and clearly a signal in saying in that post that she was talking to them about internal trade, taking a shot right at the Americans and the trade tensions there. So my read on it, Anne-Marie, is that it was kind of a bit of a political move, and to give these folks a case to have other plans on the 4th of July.
Yeah, well, I mean, with that many politicians in one space, of course it's a political move. It sort of their elbows up barbecue, I guess. I actually thought it was AI when I first took a look at it. So thanks for the backstory to that, Rachel.
Yeah, anytime.